Well, hey there. I just wanted to wish you guys Merry Christmas, and I have a little story to tell you. Now, you know that your daddy, he was born in Texas, and we used to do Christmas a little different in Texas. So I'm going to read you the story of how we used to do it in Texas. The story's called Texas, Night Before Christmas. It was the night before Christmas in a cold wintry fog. Nary a critter was moving, nor a lone prairie dog. Then from out of the north the breeze gave a stir. An icy cold blast swirled the fog in a blur. A blue Texas norther roared over the plains. The cold fairly whistled through the loose window panes. See? I poked the fireplace to stir up some flame. The embers glowed redder, but the cold stayed the same. Ma fixed up our dinner to be ready next day and thought about Christmas a few hours away. Our scuffed boots were assembled on the floor pair by pair, where Santy would find 'em, for he soon would be there. The young'uns were bundled down snug in their covers, a sprout of a girl and her two older brothers. So me and my long johns and G-Ma in her gown warmed up by the fire, for we laid ourselves down. See there, G-Ma? G-Ma warming up by the fire. She's warming up her little skirt. Then from out of the range there came such a ruckus, I ran to the window to see what the fuss was. Through the blue winter blizzard, a scene came to sight. I squinted to see, for there weren't much light. The stomping and snorting and pawing on the ground were 8 scroungy longhorns stampeding around. In front of a wagon, piled full as could be, with boxes and bundles as high as a tree. Look at that, look at that. That's the way they did it in Texas. Then bellerin' and yellin', some set them all straight from a fat little old ramrod who put fear in my 8. Well, they weren't really scared, no harm would be caused, for their longhorn head honcho was old Santa Claus. He got their attention and called them by name. Hey, Leadfoot and Wally, get up there, Kool-Aid. Come on, Gimp and Floor Pear. And Scarface, start dragging. Get on, Sam and High Hips, let's get moving this here wagon. Old Leadfoot, he bellered and lifted his head, and straight on they trampled through G-Ma's flower bed. They laid the gate flat, and the clothesline went too. Nothing stood in their way as they flat-footed through. Sandy pulled him up short on top of the roof, after wrecking the porch with them clodhopper hoofs. They rocked our old shanty, our sod shanty, the dirt shifted down. And then through the chimney, Santa came with a bound. Have a look at that, boy. Ha ha ha, Christmas sure was different. We didn't even have snow. Well, he was all dressed all in rawhide with his Stetson on top. His big Texas boots hit the floor with a clop. He shook his great belly and stomped with each foot, which knocked off a shower of mud, ash, and soot. His eyes were both squinty, and his skin was like leather from too much exposure to the raw Texas weather. He looked up as a horseshoe, but I felt no alarm, 'cause a wink of his eye showed me he'd do us no harm. A feed bag of toys he flung from his back, and with nary a word he opened his sack. He filled all the boots and piled them up high, then looked out the window and up at the sky. The cold Texas norther still whistled and blew, but more young'uns was waiting, and his work wasn't through. It was hard just to leave and walk through the door, to face all them longhorns and the cold as before. He drank some hot mud and hunched close to the heat to soak up the warmth and thaw his cold feet. He could no longer dally or put off the chore, so he gave us a wink and pushed through the open door. He prodded the longhorns to get on the go, and the wagons took off through the fog and the snow. He called over the northern, for he went out of sight. "Merry Christmas," he yelled, "and y'all have a good night. I love you, and so does Sue. Good night, y'all. Sleep tight. Don't let those Texas beg bodies bite."